Welcome to Chapter 1, Block 3. In Block 3, we're going to examine more specifically nodes, ties, forms of relations, and common types of ties or relations that are studied. So let's begin with the actor or the node. An actor is a social entity that may be linked to other social entities. This is the scientific term, but in other words, basically it's people being linked to other people, businesses being linked to other businesses, countries being linked to other countries, animal groups being linked to other animal groups, so on and so forth. Actors are not limited to persons, as I just gave you examples. They can be organizations, they can be political entities. A hot topic now, of course, is the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party. You can look at, that would be a great two-mode network to look at certain individuals in the Democratic Party and certain individuals in the Republican Party, and the relationship could be all of the negative things said about each other. We could look at a really awful network like that. Who would want to do that? Not me. But anyway, just to get the point across, actors do not have to be individual people. Okay, and so in this little tiny network off to the right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. We will learn to understand later why the orange actor is bigger than the blue actors, but please don't worry about that right now. All I want to point out here is that the circles in this network are the nodes, aka the actors in this network. All right, the relationship or link or edge or arc, these are all the same. These are all different words for the same idea. So any type of social tie that links to actors. Remember, this will be the lines or the edges that link the nodes. There are two types of relations within a network, and the first type is directional. We've already looked at directional in that network in Block 2 of the women that worked in the wiring plant, and the relationship or link was who helped whom. So a directional link or relationship indicates transmission or flow from one node to another. A non-directional edge or link or relationship indicates the existence of a connection or relationship between two nodes. Non-directional is also known as reciprocal ties, meaning that if node A knows node B, then node B must know node A. Okay, one of the best examples is familial, like blood ties. So if one node says the other node is their sister, the sister cannot say that that node is not their sister. They're family, related by blood. That means that that tie is reciprocal. So familial ties are reciprocal, non-directional. And in graphs like that, you will see for a non-directional relationship, the tie or the line between the nodes will have no arrows. That is one way to indicate a non-directional relationship, but not the only way. Okay, forms of relationships that we see include non-directed, which we just talked about, and a non-directed relation is a relationship that connects two actors where the order of the actor has no meaning. So for example, contact, physical contact. If A sees B, then B also sees A. So that is a reciprocal tie. Okay, direct contact. I guess a better way to be would say if A touches B, then B is also touching A. They're physically touching each other. That is reciprocal, and the direction of that tie has no meaning because there is no direction. Again, think of the familial ties. Then we have our directed relationships. And this is a relationship that connects two actors where the order of the actors is important. Okay, so in this graph, this is a directional relation. One way to indicate it is to look at the arrows. And so in this graph, node A buys drugs from node C and node B, but nodes C and B do not buy drugs from A. So look at the arrows and you will see that the lines emanating from node A have arrows directing towards B and C. But if you look at nodes C and B, the lines going to A do not have arrows back towards A. So with the relationship being buys drugs from, we can clearly already, just by this little amount of information and this sociogram, we can clearly establish that nodes C and B are drug dealers in this small drug network. Now, forms of relationships are very important in how the network forms and changes, and it's also important on the behavior of actors within the network towards others or how they influence others in a network. So the directionality, whether it be directed or non-directed, is very important in how a network is created. Okay, forms of relationships continue. We have a binary relation, and this is a relation either exists, and in that case we'll have a 1, or it does not exist between two actors in a network, and so it will be a 0. And we'll learn how to create a network near the end here in a matrix. It's very easy to do. Okay, we have a valued relation, and this is a relation that can have a particular value or strength to it. So for example, relationship ties. The relationship can be recorded and analyzed as a value relation or how close you might be with your ties. So an example would be family ties would get a numerical value of 3 because you are more close to your family. Friend ties would get a numerical value of 2 because you are very close to your friends, but not as close to your friends as you are to your family. An acquaintance tie would get a value of 1. And of course, a stranger or somebody that you had no tie with would get a 0. Okay, common types of ties that we look at in network research. We have cognitive perceptual types of ties. This would be who knows whom, who believes whom, who trusts whom. They could be role-based, so it could be co-offenders, so who co-offends with whom, who is a business associate with others. It could be familial ties. These are all role-based ties. We could actually have a physical connection, so it could be roads, rivers, bridges, and you can look at these things as networks. It can be affiliations, so who belongs to the same gang, who belongs to this gang or that gang, who attended the same event. We could look at the different terrorists that took part in a specific terrorist attack event. Ties can be affective or evaluative, who likes whom, who loves whom, who trusts whom, who respects whom. They can be behavioral interactions, so who gives advice to, who talks to whom, who has sex with, who does drugs with. This can go back to our wiring plant network and the women that work there and who helps whom. They can be transfers of material and resources. So who lends money? What country lends money to what country? What country borrows from what other countries? What countries import to others? What countries export to others? Who buys and sells drugs from? Who buys and sells weapons to? There's many, many different types of ties, and these are some of the most common types of ties that we look at in criminal justice networks or criminal networks, illicit networks. And again, if some of these things are new to you, don't worry. As we progress through the semester, a lot of this stuff will become more and more evident.